Because of the time allocated to me, I will try just to wrap up things as quickly as possible. So it falls into two sections: the development and the implementation requirement. In the development phase, and here I'm not going to talk about the consultation and the involvement, engagement throughout more than 2 years here, but what we have so far reached, because again of the time, the TVQF concept was developed and approved. The TVQF level descriptor developed and approved. That was approved last year in July. Employability indicators developed, and this is very important for the labor market. Key policies and systems again developed. The key policies usually associated with the framework of these key policies are, we have a QA, quality assurance guideline, developed. And here I'm not talking about Malik, I'm talking about the whole UNESCO team who was involved in this process. An organizational structure, and you will see some of that one, developed by a colleague of us again, and the private-public sector partnership, again, the concept was developed. Placement of qualifications, this is one of the key policies usually within the international context, again being developed and reviewed by the focal team. Titles of the qualifications the same. We have the RPL being drafted, and we are just planning to go to France in a tour to see the case there. I mean, RPL, how it is done there. And we have career pathways. Later on, you will see some of the slides, not all of them, that can demonstrate what I've been just talking about. This is our framework. It is a 10-level framework. These are the titles of the qualifications, and these are samples of them. So we have certificate 1, we have the diploma, we have the technical bachelor, and the technical doctorate. It is a 3-level here. The strands are 3: the knowledge, the skills, and the competence. The competence divided into 2 main strands or sub-strands: autonomy, responsibility, and engagement and process. Of course, level descriptor must reflect all the 3 strands here with the increasing level of difficulty and complexity. So this is a diagram that shows the Iraqi technical vocational qualification framework. The other one, this is a linkage between the level descriptor, between the qualifications and the employability or employment indicators, and this is very, again, important for the ILO. So here, as you see, these are the 10 levels. This is the technical vocational qualifications, the linkage with the higher education, and here the titles given to the employment or employability indicators based on the levels. So we have from the basic, general, semi-skilled, skilled, up to the leading specialist and expert. And here, of course, what we expect them as the, for example, the supervisory role, the managerial role, and all these things being again done. This one is a very important example. In fact, I've been working with the team, with Dr. Farid, Dr. Sadiq, and all others. And here, this is what we call it the pathway career progression. This is an example. We are in the progress of developing the whole concept of that one. So this is retail career progression. These are the levels, as you see here. So we have divided this one. This will be, in fact, one of the cores for the development of Iraqi labor market. One of the cores to develop and train the Iraqi labor force into. So this one, for example, has been divided based on the international practice into buying, displaying, selling, and managing. This is within the retail. Now for each one, you see the way that it goes based on the level descriptor and based on the indicators we've been talking, or we talked about in the previous sector. So we have the assistant buyer, planner, buyer, merchandiser manager, senior planner, and senior buyer. This is with the fall of buying, and this is the way it goes. What we need later on, of course, to develop qualifications, and here I'm not talking about the main qualifications as we know, the diploma, the bachelor. No, we will talk about sub or minor qualifications. In UK, for example, we have the certificate, the award, and the diploma. So from 1 to 12 credits, we have the certificate, and we have the award from 13 to 36 credits, and then we go to the diploma. And we need to do this again in the Iraqi side. So this is the first stage of the development. Here I'm moving to the implementation concept, requirements, and really what we need, and especially this is of a great importance to all organizations sitting here. Now, in implementation phase 1, now this is some of the things that we've been talking about in the previous one, like role structure of the proposed TVQF entity, concept established, and we will see that one. And here I'm not talking about the council that we, the draft law has been written. Here I'm talking about a body, I'm talking about one body, I'm talking about the TVQF qualification framework. And this is very important, and this is the way that we did it in United Arab Emirates. Even, true that there is a body, whole body, which is the Qualifications Authority, Al-Hay'a Al-Wataniyya Lil-Mu'ahalat in United Arab Emirates, but there is a body responsible for the framework itself, for the implementation. And that was issued by a resolution, not by a decree of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid, just for the implementation of a QF. Maybe we need something, because just to give an example, when the Europeans developed their own meta framework, the European qualification framework, and then we have the 28 countries that developed their own frameworks as well. Some of them were before the development of the EU, like in UK, Scotland, for example, mainly five frameworks. Then the 10 criteria the Europeans put for the mapping or referencing of national frameworks to the European one, to the meta framework. The first item, the first criterion put was that the framework should have the legal base for it. It means that it should be based by the law and not just to be a framework by itself. This is a criterion one developed for this purpose. So here we have things again to be developed later. I'm coming to these in the coming slides. One of the key things again that we need, of course, is definition of industry sector, information system. We need a database. The concept of the database, I have it. In fact, the database will be very important for Iraqi education system, for the Iraqi labor market. All the graduates, all the qualifications, the types of them, the career pathways of the individuals, of the organizations, of the programs, of the qualifications will be in that database. That will give all the decision makers in Iraq, politicians in Iraq, really what do we need if we want to develop a policy strategy for the coming years. Now, of course, this is let me say it might be a personal point of view, as to start with the phase 1, phase 2, which is the implementation. It's like an analysis. And what do we have now in implementation? Initial analysis of current challenges in education and training. We've got vast number of different types of assessment and certification. And usually the framework in the implementation, it is not only when we say that we have levels. The certification is important, the validation is important, because when we call it the qualifications framework, the qualifications are and were there even before the establishment of the frameworks. So the qualifications are there, they are recognized worldwide. So there can be qualifications without a framework, but there is no framework without the qualifications. And this is very important. Different types of assessment processes. Some cases largely theoretical assessment process, different curricula for similar courses, lack of enough training, inadequate equipment and facilities, lack systems for articulation, lack of industry standards, lack of core employability skills. This is an initial analysis of education and training system and the relation between education system and the labor market. With the market challenges, again, transition challenges with the changing economy, a responsive training system to meet the current industry demands, high cost for training within industry, informal apprenticeship, and unskilled and up to uncertified workforce. Here, there is something, just I told some of the colleagues today, happened today in the morning while I was on the left. I met a Danish guy. He's from United Nations with the training of Iraqi police. So we talked just briefly, I mean on the left and then outside the left. When I knew that they are developing some training programs for Iraqi police and for leadership and how to change them from police into community services, the idea came to my mind, and I told him he welcomed this because this is an international practice, that these kind of courses can be recognized as small qualifications for the people who will take it. I mean, the TVQF can be directly in the involvement process. These people, we are not involving ourselves in the training courses because these are based on standards, on occupational standards. And this is one of the key, again, for the labor market. But what I mean here, the TVQF, and here we are sitting now, we can recognize these courses as small qualifications, and then the individuals can build on that one. So he welcomed the idea, and he said that if you need something like that to be recognized, you need just to coordinate with the Ministry of Interior, and I think Dr. Hamid is fully aware of that one, and then the coordination can start. And by the way, this one can be one of the pilots, one of the first courses or small hours to be recognized by the TVQF. It can be placed at level 3 or 4 or 5, depending on the levels. If we are talking about leadership, maybe for high-ranking people, so it can be above level 7, and for the lower ranks, it can be at levels 4 or 5. That depends on what they have there. Here, please, again, because I'm talking about the entity, this is a concept that I feel it, whereby a resolution can be issued to implement the qualification framework. To my understanding, this is what we need, not necessarily a whole council. This is the TVQF entity, whatever we call it. And these are the 3 main sections or departments, call them whatever you like, within that entity. It is the skills development, because we are talking about TVET, technical, vocational, professional qualifications, qualifications register. This is the database I was talking about, and this is the TVQF. Within this one, what we have here, we have SACs, which is the skills advisory councils or bodies or committees, whatever we can call them, and planning and development. This will be interrelated to the Iraqi national strategy, the whole strategy for education, for labor market, 444, that can be linked to that one. And then we have the quality assurance and the implementation. Within the TVQF, we have the equivalency and international mapping, because at the end, we need the mutual recognition of the qualifications. So this can do the job where we can map our qualifications with the international ones, and we can start, and not to talk about myself, I mean within the United Arab Emirates and Qatar and Oman, I did the mapping between the UK, New Zealand and Australia. Officially signed between United Arab Emirates and UK in 2015, officially signed with New Zealand in last year, I mean in 18, and now they are planning to do that in. So a mapping concept, yes, we can deliver it at a later stage once the entity is established and the framework is implemented. And we have the policy and implementation. So this is what is in my mind if to take it into the implementation phase. Here we have, this is again a concept, which is, now we have the higher education, they are marvelous, doing a great job. We have the general education, marvelous, doing a great job. Dr. Farid and Dr. Majid in the previous Beirut, they told me that they started with the implementation of a QF level descriptor and their qualifications. So there is something being done now at this stage. Here it is to imagine the relationship between the Ministry of Labor, the higher education, general education, labor market, all. This is the concept that, sorry, I'm going back to it now full. So this is MOU, which means that there will be like a delegation of authority. It is in order not to get ourselves involved, and maybe some ministers or ministries may misunderstand the concept. The Ministry of Higher Education will do its job as it is. But there is this delegated responsibility through MOU between that entity, the TVQF entity, and these ministries. And we have again with the Ministry of Education, and we have the new entity that will take care of the whole TVQF implementation as technical vocational qualifications. So here is the general education, higher education, technical vocational education. This is at the policy level, because we said the department policy and implementation. This is at the coordination level between all entities. This is at the regulation levels, so that there will be no conflicts between the regulations with these entities. And this is the delivery, the institutions and the employment, all of them. Because with technical vocation, not necessarily only educational or training institutions, it can be delivered even by companies within their own training. Oil companies can do that, as we have it, for example, in United Arab Emirates with ADNOC. Now, this shows that relation. We have the Ministry of Education, we have the TVET Council, Ministry of Higher Education, Ministry of Labor, others including industry, which is very important because all the occupational standards should be developed by the industry. We have the public-private, advisory. These are the provinces, because later on we may need to delegate that one. Each province can be an awarding body. And we have the central one. It can be in Baghdad and, for example, in Erbil. These awarding bodies will be responsible to deliver what comes. And this is very much similar. If we talk about UK, we have the OFQUAL and we have the QAA, for example. The OFQUAL with the technical vocational education, QAA with the higher education. So we have the training, education training provider, and we have the awarding body like City and Guilds, Pearson and others, and we have the OFQUAL. This is the hierarchy that we can work based on that one. And here are the awarding bodies that I've been talking about. Now, we can, yes, quickly. We have whatever number of industry sectors we can divide. Because I have taken like an equation, later we will see it. Skills advisory coordination services, each with a board of directors who are industry representative. We have nothing to do with that one. Each with an executive officer and admin staff, and using industry key stakeholders, submitted with documented evidence of nationwide stakeholder consultation, the way that we will develop occupational standards and qualifications based on that one. Then we have, this is it, for example. Here, simple one, quickly I will finish. Now with the ISCO 2008 list 437 occupations at unit group level. Assume that 20 of these occupations represented the post level 7 of the TVQF, not included in the analysis. Example, 350 occupations requiring occupational standards development. And across, suppose that we have 11 industry sectors, about 30 occupations per sector. And visit some 60 unique unit standards need to be developed per occupation unit group. 60 unique unit standards, because some of the unit standards can be used by more than one sector, more than one occupation. Here is the equation. This is the number of unit standards that we will need to be developed. Remove unit technical standard that could be used more than once. Harvest from other qualification in other order of 20%. This is the number that we will get it at the end. Of course, you will get that one. I don't have time to go through all of this, but it's very important. Here, again, I mean the same. Then, if yes, so what needs to be done? These are by time given as a concept. We are going to the implementation, and this is very important, and we need, of course, the support. These are the things that we need to develop occupational standards, qualifications based on that one, and the implementation of a QF. This is by time. Some of them may take 3 years, and here I'm talking about, let me say here, at the operational side, the establishment of occupational standards and the 12 industry or 11 industry sectors, whatever they are. And this is the way, SACS and qualification-based laws. So we have a policy management, SACS board, development and validation maintenance standing committee. And these are just examples of numbers of occupation. It doesn't mean that this is 7 or 1, just examples given. And this is at the operational project-based ones. And this is the final one. This is the process that will go in order to implement and in order to develop qualifications. These are from the industry up to one by one. I'm sorry because of the time allocated to me, but you can get the slides and the presentation. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much.